their means to an end. Here now, ranking member of the Intel Committee, Congressman Devin Nunes, along with Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. Devin, your Nunes memo, dead on accurate, along with the Grassley-Graham memo. Jim Jordan, you had a great point today. They weren't just spying on 2 Americans. They were actually spying on 4 Americans. Devin, we'll start with you.
Well, Sean, remember what I said when we first came here is that the Steele dossier, the Clinton paid for dirt, and using that to create fake news, that wasn't the worst of it. Remember I said there was something equally as bad. Well, finally today, people get to know the truth. It's being glossed over. But here's what it was. The FBI ran spies, you can say spies, because it's people that were recording the conversations of both Papadopoulos and Carter Page. So this was before the FISA. So they were already spying before the FISA. Then there was exculpatory evidence in that for both Papadopoulos and Page, and that was never given to the court on the very first FISA. To me, that's even worse than using the Clinton paid for dirt. Now, what Horowitz found, he found even extra. It's like the cherry on top of the ice cream. Now we actually have one of the top lawyers doctoring the evidence. It doesn't get any worse for this for the FBI, and a lot of heads have to roll, and I hope Durham can get to the bottom of it.
You know, Jim, your point about 4 Americans spied on, not just 2, as we originally thought, that's key. The dirty dossier. They actually say in the report there were only 3 minor other details. It was all the unverifiable dossier. That was it. It wasn't the bulk. It was it. Then we got the comments of Barr and Durham. And this is interesting to me, because the way I interpret it is they're saying, yeah, Horowitz was limited in what he could do because it was confined to the DOJ and FBI. Oh, no. Our investigation has taken us overseas and sources in areas where Horowitz couldn't go to get the truth we have now found.
Yeah, and even if you accept Horowitz that there was a proper predication for starting this, by January they should have stopped. And this is the part that bothers me the most, because they didn't stop all the exculpatory information, all the information they got, all the things they learned about the dossier, all the information that Steele relied on that wasn't accurate, that was given to the court, all the lies to the court. Because they didn't stop, we wind up getting the Bob Mueller investigation, and what that put our country through for over 2 years, that is the worst. That's the real takeaway here. And remember, on May 9th, Jim Comey is fired. When we deposed him after he was fired, he told us all the way up until May 9th, they still didn't have anything. And that's exactly what Michael Horowitz told us in this report. But they didn't care. Because they kept it going, we got the Mueller investigation, what our country had to live through.
Oh, now we're living through the Ukrainian impeachment coup attempt. We got one right after another. Why ever govern for the people of this country or lift a finger to help people? Safety, security, peace, and prosperity. Not even an option. Devin Nunes, now let's ask you, when you go to the comments, particularly Barr and Durham, very revealing, very hard-hitting, unprecedented, and when you couple it with the previous statements of the Attorney General, I don't believe any Attorney General of the United States would be saying that unless he knew dead on accurate, perfect, that they've got it. They've got it all.
Yeah, I think what the difference here is between the Horowitz report, which I know the mainstream media is just, loving that Horowitz said, well, from the information that we've seen, they met the standard to start an investigation. Remember, that is such a low standard, and it probably needs to be changed. But here's what Horowitz couldn't get to the bottom of it. Why were they spying before July 31st, and who ordered the spying? That's the problem here. Horowitz couldn't find it. Perhaps Durham has been able to find it.
When apparently a lot of times have been spent in Italy, Great Britain, a lot of conversations with the Australians. Is there a very good likelihood, very prominent people in our intelligence community likely outsourced the spying on Americans to circumvent American law? Do you believe that happened, both of you, Jim Jordan and Devin Nunes?
I assume they're hanging out in those places because that's where Joseph Mifsud was. So remember, he's the one guy who lied to the FBI and was never charged with the crime. Anyone else who gave any type of false information to the FBI was charged with the crime, including a 3-star general, Michael Flynn, who they were spying on and investigating clear back when this thing started. So I assume that's why they're there. The good news is
they were looking for dirt on him. Can you imagine? This is how we treat 33-year veterans. All right, Devin, last word.
Well, I would just add to it, the spies that originally got the dirt on General Flynn way back in 2014 are the same spies that were spying pre the 31st of July, same spies that were spying in August of 2016. None of that evidence ever made it to the FISA court. So I think That's what they have to get to the bottom of, is who was running this spy ring. That's really the bottom line.
You both have been over the target. You have served your country well. Vindication for both of you. Thank you for your hard work in spite of an avalanche of criticism by liars in the mob and the media and Democrats that don't care about truth anymore or civil liberties, apparently. So, joining us now, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. By the way, what a beatdown of poor Chucky this weekend. It was like here, he like hit him down, pull him up again, hit him again, pull him up. Boom. Great job. All right.
Well, that was fun.
This is serious stuff.
Yeah.
We got a dirty dossier paid for by Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
Everyone seems to care about Russian interference, but not that. Now you read this report today, and you hear the comments of both Durham and Barr. Your reaction?
Well, today is both chilling and encouraging. It's chilling reading the Inspector General report. It is stunning the abuse of power that we saw in the Obama administration, and sadly it continued over in the deep state for the first couple of years of the Trump administration. You saw the abuse of power at the FBI, the abuse of power at the Department of Justice. And I got to say, as an alumnus of the Department of Justice, I'm angry. I think there are a lot of good men and women that serve at the Department of Justice and the FBI who are angry reading this report. The very best interpretation of the Horowitz Inspector General report is that the FBI and the Department of Justice were manifestly incompetent. The IG report outlines 17 factual misstatements that they made to the FISA court, and that they were utterly negligent in ordering the surveillance, the spying of a presidential nominee and of a sitting president. That's the most favorable interpretation. The real interpretation is these were hardcore political partisans that hated Donald Trump, and they were willing and complicit to abuse the power of law enforcement and intelligence and spy on a political opponent. I think that's chilling.
Civil liberties and constitutional rights, something we both care deeply about. Every American should care deeply about. Where do you see this now headed? Because
And that's the second piece and why it's encouraging. I think this IG report is the first step in the wrongdoers being held accountable. I was very encouraged both by Attorney General Barr's statement and U.S. Attorney Durham's statement that more accountability will come, and I hope that those who abused power will be held to account. But I'll tell you why I'm also encouraged. Because the entire Democratic show trial in the House is collapsing. We're seeing the media panicking. You know, you talked about Chuck Todd yesterday. The media is on full-on panic because what they hoped this impeachment trial would prove hasn't been proving, and it's like rats fleeing a sinking ship. The House, I assume, is going to have a partisan vote next week to impeach, but it's going to the Senate, and it's not going anywhere in the Senate. We're going to throw it out and reject it because it is based on no facts and no evidence.
All right, Senator, good to see you. Thank you. Great job with Chucky the other day. All right, coming up.